Welcome to my YouTube channel. This video is a review on Earthbound Beginnings, a game which is looked down upon by gamers because of the obsolescence of its gameplay mechanics. It is compared to Earthbound and Mother 3, its sequels, as the worst version of the two great games. So in this analytical review, I'll be looking at the good aspects and the bad aspects of the game, to wrap it up into a profound conclusion. However, in the meat of this review, we should consider the forgiveness we should give some of the bad aspects of the game. Remember, this game was released in 1989. So these questions start to float in our head. Should we give this game forgiveness because of its release in 1989, 30 years ago? Or should we not give it forgiveness because even some of the bad aspects of the game back then were really bad? And really, I think it's a mix. We should definitely give some of the bad aspects some forgiveness. It's really old, but we should still be able to criticize some of its bad aspects, even today. Earthbound Beginnings is the oldest game of the series called Mother in Japan or Earthbound in North America. Earthbound is an influential series made by Shikasato Itoi. Mostly known in the West for his work in the Mother series, in Japan, he's a well-rounded celebrity who worked as a copywriter. No, not the copywriting that companies abuse to make money off the creators' hard work. I mean, he worked for advertising, assisting companies by making catchy slogans. He started to play RPGs on his Famicom, mainly Dragon Warrior. He thought, what if I was in charge of the development? He always fantasized about his own RPG world, and how he can make improvements to the genre. His idea was, instead of wizards and swords in a setting in medieval Europe, how about normal kids and baseball bats in modern America? This idea is a brilliant twist to the RPG genre, so he decided to pitch the idea to Shigeru Miyamoto, and at first, Miyamoto said no, but thankfully, Miyamoto gave him a chance, and his dream came true. And how did it do? Well, it did great. The game was a commercial and critical success. It scored really high with critics, and it fascinated players by Itoi's out-of-box writing. It became the 6th best-selling game due to all the factors that led to its success. Based on that, they immediately needed to release it to the West. And they finished the whole game in English. But sadly, since the NES was coming out, and the age of RPG games in America wasn't hit yet, they decided to scrap it. Later, it was discovered by collectors and exported online, meaning anyone could download it. It was later given an official Nintendo release on the Wii U, and later the Nintendo Switch. In the present, the game is looked down upon by fans of the series. Most fans only played Earthbound and Mother 3, and left Earthbound Beginnings in the dust, and I don't blame them for it. Again, the utter obsolescence of the game is frustrating for someone who never experienced 8-bit RPGs. Like, if you only played Undertale and Pokemon, you're probably gonna break your TV screen. I had a really tough time trying to beat this game. When I first tried this game, I got to Duncan's Factory, looked at the map, and I was like, shit, I fucking hate this. Like, my god, this is so damn hard to reverse. Look at this map. Does this look fun to you? Does this look fun to you? Yeah, I couldn't do it. And I don't really blame the game, though. I could have just searched up, like, how to do it. Like, it's actually my fault. I'm not blaming the game for it. But still, the map is actually terrible. So, I decided to rectify that I didn't complete the game. So, I completed the entire game from scratch. And honestly, it's better than I initially thought. You know what's surprising about Earthbound Beginnings? It's music. I've been playing some of it in the background, and there's a chance that you really liked some of the tunes. It's definitely not as good as Earthbound and Mother 3, but for the software it was on, it was really good. Music on the NES was technologically limited. It was really hard, because only 3 notes could be played at a time. It greatly limited the 2 composers for the game, Gishi Suzuki and Hirokazu Tanaka. I know I greatly butchered those names, but still. The soundtrack is really good for the technological limits it had. However, if you want to see the full potential of these catchy melodies, listen to the full official album. And you know what's really cool? It's all in English. The music's really good, and the lyrics are good too. I'm not going to play it here since the album will give you a copyright claim if you use it. So, unfortunately I can't play it here, so you're going to have to check it out yourself. In Earthbound Beginnings, a couple named George and Mary gets abducted by aliens. Mary takes care of an alien named Gygus. Yes, Gygus, you probably know him from Earthbound. He's in this game too. But George studied the alien's PSI, so humans can harness the power as well. This outraged Gygus, so he led an invasion on Earth to get revenge. So a human named Ninten faces the consequences 80 years later it has to save the world by collecting 8 sacred melodies and singing it to Gygus. In Nintendo's journey, 3 party members assist you in saving the world. First, we have Lloyd, the nerd from his elementary school who is constantly made fun of by his peers. He's an effective user of battle items like bottle rockets and bombs. We have Anna, a very strong user of PSI. She uses strong psychic attacks like PK Beam Gamma and PK Fire Omega. However, she has very low HP and defense, and dies in like 2 hits. Then we have Teddy. He grows stats really fast, he has high offense, defense, HP, and speed, and is overall a really strong fighter that can take hits well and dish out good damage back. However, they are the same characters as Earthbound besides Teddy. Niten is Ness, Anna is just Paula, and Lloyd is just Jeff. Teddy and Pooh, that's right, Pooh, are different, which makes me appreciate them a bit more. I like how in Mother 3, the characters are more original. Like, imagine if Lucas was just a boy in a red cap. Now, here's the part where I'm gonna criticize Earthbound Beginnings, because my goodness, some of the aspects in this gameplay are terrible. When I first played this, I died on the first enemy. At that point, your only option is to grind, which is tedious because you constantly die at level 1, and your only way you won't die is if you get a critical hit or you have some healing items. So it'll make grinding, which already sucks, even more of a chore. You have to walk all the way to town, which is difficult with all the stray dogs and hippies constantly attacking you when you're probably really wounded, so you have to go all the way back home to heal. And then, you probably just get wounded again, and then it's just an annoying cycle until you finally get more levels to defeat the stupid stray dogs and hippies. It's so fucking annoying. In the Earthbound community, it's pretty much a meme that this game has such a high encounter rate. Like, holy shit, I'm getting encounters every 5 fucking seconds. It's annoying as hell. Like, imagine having really difficult enemies at the start of the game, and then having a high fucking encounter rate. That is so high that it's a meme in the community. That is insane. That's why the starting area is so fucking hard. Because, like, you're constantly bombarded with really difficult enemies, and then you have to go back to your house, heal, and then, like, manually grind, which is so fucking annoying. It's so slow. Like, it's actually ridiculous. In Mount a Toy, you're facing one of the worst level curves in the game. The enemies are so damn strong. I was level 35 and still struggling. It's a good thing later on that you get Eve, which is a robot that trivializes the rest of Mount a Toy. Also later in the game, enemies can use a spell called BK Beam Gamma, a move that will instantly kill you as long as you don't have a Franklin badge, which will deflect the spell. Thankfully, you can also use this with Anna, who is a strong PSI user. The toy literally admitted in the interview that when the difficulty of Mount a Toy was decided, he was like, whatever, which honestly makes me laugh. Let's talk about the progression of the game. It's really confusing. You don't get any guidance in this game. If you're going through this game blind, you'll have no idea where to go. Like, how am I supposed to know where to go without a guidebook or a guide? I'm not embarrassed to say that I used a guide, because I wouldn't be able to complete the game without it. This problem goes hands in hand with the terrible maps of the game. If the maps are confusing and terrible without any guidance, you're gonna get lost a fuck ton of times. It goes hand in hand with the terrible encounter rate. You'll get bombarded with enemies while being lost, which makes it terrible to traverse. There are also so many dead ends. As an RPG fan, I thought that there would be hidden items to collect. Nope. The game completely punishes you for wanting to explore its own world, which a game shouldn't do. It should encourage players to explore its world by giving it gift boxes or rewards. But it only encourages the player to look up a guide and invest minimal effort into the game. Because, like, you know, you're gonna get constantly bombarded with random encounters if you try to explore the map. If you mess up, you're gonna lose so much of your time. Let's go back to the start of this review when I questioned how much forgiveness we should give the outdated mechanics of the game. But I think we should also think about how we shouldn't blindly give forgiveness to a video game just because it's really old. Let's look at NES Mario games. Mario Bros. Can stand on its own because many of the classic platformer tropes are repeated in subsequent 2D Mario games. So just because a game is old doesn't mean we should forgive all the terrible aspects of the game. But we can forgive some, like the fact that the random encounter rate is bad. Eder games had terrible encounter rates too, but the map design of the Eder games were better, so you wouldn't be bombarded as much as you would in Mutter. We can also forgive the difficulty of the game. I feel like games in the 80s were way harder, so the difficulty of the game can be forgiven just for that. Something that was bad, even for its time, was the maps. The maps were really bad. They were continuous. Continuous maps are cool, if done right. but they weren't handled well in this game. If you have a high encounter rate and long continuous maps, it's not going to go well. Earthbound Beginnings is an interesting game for someone who likes to think about video games critically. My opinions are very mixed. On one hand, I love its music, story, and writing, but on the other hand, I absolutely hate the terrible maps, high level curves, and really damn high encounter rate. Sadly, the bad aspects of the game outweigh the good ones, making this game below average. If IGN made a review on it, it would probably say 3 out of 10, too much grinding. But I still like it a lot. After getting through the tough grinding sections, I had a burst of joy being able to streamroll through the enemies I was struggling through earlier. It's satisfying. Even with all the flaws of this game, many of the amazing aspects of Earthbound and Mother 3 all started here. If you don't like 8-bit RPGs that stretches you paper thin throughout the entire game, this is not something you should play. However, if you're watching this video and you're saying, you're a fucking pussy, then I think you would really enjoy the hard difficulty of this game. Anyway, that's the end of this review. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and have a nice day.